data. So this is an example implementation of your exercise that you're still doing. So I will not be providing you these files yet, but you can have a quick look. So this is basically just a very simple bit of code. And so you can put in your print, so you can print 8 divided by 3 and get the result. And so you can do some simple math. We also, and there's another way. So this console is really helpful. But there's another way of actually doing this, and that is the debugging. So the easiest way of getting started with the debugging is just press the mouse here in the middle, so next to a number, and then you get this red dot. This red dot means that there's a breakpoint there. And when you then, okay, so it needs, okay. I haven't configured it to run yet. So I should be able to just say with this file run. Okay, sorry, it's a bit sluggish. So we can debug the file. So if we do the debugger rather than the run, it goes into a special mode where you can basically see what's going on. And okay, yes, so we can have this C Cython extension. I'm not going to do this right now. I would need to restart and stuff like that. You might want to do that yourself. Like I say, I haven't really checked that. So now we can see the blue line here where we actually have the code paused. So we're now on line 7 of the module data.py. We don't have any variable, so there's some special variables available. So if you wanted to know what's the name, we can see here that underscore main underscore underscore. So these are 2 underscores, but some fonts don't make it this visible that it's 2. It also has a doc string. So you can see here we had this doc as just a text thing. It has been put into this variable automatically by the loader. Then there's some other information that there's no value. In this case, none is the value. So those are special variables, but we'll find that we can do this. So how do you use the debugger? So we have now stopped at a particular point, but we want to move on. So there's kind of 3 key elements to that. And that is the continue. So you can resume your program. That's the F9 key. Did the audio still work? Okay, yes. Yeah, let me know this thing, because I had my microphone bug out onto me with other lecture because the battery ran out. Not very helpful, but yeah, so let me know if it's a problem. Anyway, so we have the resume program, F9, that just runs the rest of the program. So if we do this, we just get some prints in the console part, and that's it, and we are finished. The program is no longer running. So I'm starting again, I'm just pressing this one. So most of the time you don't want to just do that. What you can do is you can just go to a line number and then press that, and then we run to that cursor. And so now you can see, after we have done that, we now have the horizontal line, which is, I'm quite confident, 15 dashes. At least that's what the code here makes it. So we have the horizontal line. You can then say, okay, actually, I don't want 15 dashes. I actually want it to be having some equal signs in it. So you can change it. We can also see here on the behind the code line that it also displays the variable there, just to make it very easy. So yeah, my face is not visible so that you can see my code better. But my face will come back when we need to. But I think it's more important that you can see what's going on. Particularly the debugger is not sized up, so to speak. Not like the main code. Yes. So that's our variables. So you can see the variables, you can inspect them. And we can see now that we are on this line, print horizontal line. So what thing you can also do, sometimes going to a particular line is good. You can also go to the next line. So there's these functions here. Again, most of the time you don't use these buttons. You use the keyboard buttons. Because what you do a lot is to step next, step next, step next. So step next is F8. So continue is F9. Step next is F8. And F7 is to step into. So if you have a function, if you want to go into a function, you use F7. So in this case, we go to the next line, and then we printed one on the horizontal line. So we can see now in the console that this has been printed, including the equal signs that I've put here. So that is so that's worked. So we now go to the next line, we print hello world. And when we look at the console, yes, it has been printed. And I think it might even be possible to detach the console or something like that. So I'm not sure. No, yes, we can put it there, so we can actually see it at the same time. Okay, it should be doing it. Oh, it doesn't. I don't think it wants to do that. Unfortunately, it's not supported. So, and then you can do things like that. I think it might be bugging out a little bit on me here. Oh, it finished somehow. I pressed F9 instead of F8. Yes, so that's a challenge. More interesting is if you do this in a case where you have logic. So, for example, we can go here and we can check the value of integer. So we debug logic. And we get here to the line where we have logic. So we have a number of variables. We can see here what the values are. The integer equals 11. In this case, we say, okay, is this equal to -1? So we can see here that it actually isn't. But sometimes you have expressions that are a little bit hard to understand. So what you can do instead is you can select this, and then you can go to quick evaluate expression. And what that does, it should come up and it will actually quick evaluate expression. Control. It should be able to give you the true value. We can see it here. So, or what you can do, sometimes the quick evaluate is not very clear. You can actually go to the evaluate expression itself. So it copies that expression in there and we can evaluate that. Oh, it is not equal to 1. Maybe if it is equal to 11. And then we can see that. So you can basically put questions to Python here and to make it work. Yes. No, I'm not going for the YouTube play button as yet, but 100 subs would be cool. I made it a business channel, or a brand channel they call. Anyway, so that's how you can do this. So particularly when we have expressions like this, it becomes kind of hard to sometimes see. So we can here see, okay, what's animal? So when we go, just continue until here. That's probably the best way. And then we can see, okay, what does it evaluate to? And we can see it's skipping not to the next line, but the next line that's actually executed. So it is smaller than vulture, because this is just a textual comparison. So this in textual, small letters are later in the textual comparison than capital letters. So anything with a capital letter is smaller. So in this case, it will print animal, etc. So we can see in the console, animal is smaller than, etc. So there's basically what you would be doing. So for loops, it kind of works the same way. So you can, for example, put a loop in here and we have various items. So let's see how this works. So we debug loops in this case. So it automatically creates a configuration for us. So yes, this is KDE on Gen 2 Linux actually. So it's not Mint, it's Gen 2, but it's a compile yourself one. It's not a beginner's distribution. So anyway, we are now in the loop. And in this loop, we have different grades. So we can see here in our variables view that we have the grade, that we have 3 different grades. We have pop, dad, and cf, and it also has a length parameter. So it's a dictionary that has those things, and then it kind of underwater maintains this length field. Yes, I have been in the chat a little bit, but I have to pay attention to my lecture. So anyway, so now we are in the loop, and in the loop we can see that we have a key and a value variable that is available that match our grades. So we have pop and 99 in the dictionary, and we have that in our field. So we can then print that. So now our console prints it, pop 99, and we're now back at the loop. The loop goes again, and now we see that we have a new value, key and value, that basically is the next value into the dictionary for dad and 87. Print dad 87 and print again, and then we are at the end of the loop. And that kind of shows you how this works. And it's a very good way of actually putting your code to see what is going on. And especially for those of you that struggle, okay, how does this work? I would advise you, play around with this. Look at what happens. Finding errors in your code by either looking at your code, staring at it, or by putting piles and piles of prints in your code is just really, really hard to do. And it doesn't help you with doing things, okay, what's the value of this expression? And if you have an expression you want to look at all the time, you can even create a watch. So you can create a watch. Say we wanted to see what grades dad was. We can actually see that the grade for dad is 87. If it changes, so we can actually go to the evaluate expression tool, and we can be really nasty. We can say grades dad equals 42. And if we do this, so this is another way of changing values. It will actually do exactly that, and we can see now in the variables view that this grade has actually changed there. And this is basically very useful if you need to keep track of the value as we go along. So if we do something that is grades poll, that shouldn't exist, it gives us a key error exception. Poll is not a valid key. So we can see here that it's an exception. obviously that was something I triggered, so you know what is going on there. So that's how you use a debugger. So, and you can use this, so you can put number of breakpoints in different points. It's a little bit of getting used to, but a breakpoint is basically where do you stop. A cool thing you can also do is put a condition on a breakpoint. So if you make a breakpoint, you can then go and put a condition. So number equals 5. So this will put a breakpoint, and we can see that it's a conditional one because it added a question mark here. So if we now continue, it will run to the part where the number in this particular loop is number 5. And we can see from the console that we did this while else before, and now we're there. We are currently at the total of 64, and we can loop beyond that, and we go again and again. But if we run this again, it will not stop again because we have already passed the number equals 5. And the console says, okay, it found a total of 110. Because we couldn't reach the target, because our numbers were not big enough. Anyway, so that is what you can do with debugger. There's many more features. You can go with more, and the cool one is you can actually also, if you want to do a print line, you can do that with debugger. So you can have a debug point that you don't do a suspend, but then you say, okay, I want to get the number, I want to print the number. Or you can say number equals plus number. And when we run this through a debugger, we have to use a debugger because by the debugger makes your code run a lot slower. But in most cases it doesn't matter. So let's get out of this one because we don't need that. And then we can find that in our console we now have we should have not okay, there I think there is a problem here in my expression. So yeah, so test it out with evaluate expression first. Let's see if we can do this anyway. So we have a breakpoint here. We run it to the breakpoint. We can then go to evaluate expression. Yes, I use the shortcuts because they make my life a lot easier. Okay, evaluate expression doesn't want to come up. Oh, it's different shortcut than I expected. So what we can do is total plus st. I think we just use templates. I think that's a better way of going about this. And then we have number dot format, and then we have total comma number. And it even gives completion to kind of help us how to do this correctly. And that's why you want a tool like this. So yes, this is a valid expression. So we just select it, copy it, and then we can put that into our evaluate bit. And then we can even stop the suspend. And then when we run this, we can now see from the console that we have all the totals printed. And that didn't change our code, it only changes the evaluation. So that is how you use the debugger. And let's go back to the lecture. Exercises, so I will be creating the exercises, I haven't done that yet. We'll be doing it the same way as we've done now, as with checklists. Hopefully that works well, so to be a number of exercises in the different topic areas. that should help you to get used to this. The exercises, so basically the idea is now to practice. So next week you can practice. I will also be next week be putting out starting points for how to start the assignment, how to start the backend part of that. In particular, how to actually use Flask to host your web page so that you can integrate everything together. And so that's the lecture for today.